Hey there, subscribe to my channel, and also press this bell icon so you never miss any new updates, cause whenever we upload new video you will get a notification on your phone.
Part 1.
You will hear a library assistant talking about the library she works in.
First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 5.
Hi, can I help you?
Yes. I wanted to join the library.
Okay. First of all, let me show you round the library and explain a few things for you. Okay, now we're here at the main entrance. You can see the reception, which is where you bring back and take out books. And also, we can order books and answer your questions there. Next to the reception, where you can see those old desks, is where we keep the magazines, because you can sit down and read there. They're divided into sections for sciences, geography, arts, etc. Then, at the back of the library, you can see the section for old books. Next to that is where the books proper start. That used to be the science section, but now on those shelves you'll find the art section. We had a big reorganisation in the summer, which I think has made it clearer. The numbering is standard, so you should be able to find what you want quite easily. However, if you can't find something, it probably means it's been borrowed. Okay, then in the corner next to the reference section is where we thought it was quietest and away from the phones and printers and things, so we've put the study desks there. They all have computer access if you need it for your laptop. We do ask that you don't just read magazines there, though. Okay, then there's the reference section, where you can look up the files. Then, as we come back to the main entrance, is the next section, where we used to have the languages. It got very busy and noisy, so when we moved everything round, we decided to put the law books here. Also, because it's a smaller section, it fits quite well here. Okay then, we're back at the main entrance. Over there, by reception, there's a door that goes to the extension. And we have further sections, such as languages and study desks through there. So you could have a look round when we've finished. Then, just between reception and the door here, is where we decided to put the computers. But the computer magazines are in the magazine section, as we found too many went missing here. Okay, is that everything?
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 6 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 6 to 10.
That's great, thanks. Can you just tell me a bit about borrowing and the rules and whatever?
Of course. Over the last 2 months, we've been introducing a new system for this, and you can now take books out for 6 weeks. That's generally enough for most people. We usually get books back within 30 days. Of course, you may decide to renew the period. You used to have to come in to get the book stamped because we don't like doing it over the phone, as there's no record of it. But now you can do all that via email. If you do forget to renew, then we do make a charge, I'm afraid. That helps our costs, of course, but we do insist on it. The good news is that there is only one charge. I know some libraries charge £1 for 1 week and then it goes up with each week it's late. We ask for £1.50 as we think that's high enough to stop people being overdue. The other thing you may want to know is what you do about books that are not on the shelves. We do have a system for reserving them. All you have to do is fill in a yellow form behind those blue ones on the desk and give it to someone at reception. We'll let you know when it comes in. Also, sometimes you'll need a journal article that we don't have but can get from other libraries. So we offer an ordering service if you need it. Now, if you'd like to fill in this form here...
That is the end of part 1.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 2.
Part 2.
You will hear 2 students talking about a class assignment about wild bird rescue and rehabilitation.
First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 15. Now, listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 15.
Okay, let's go over the requirements and see what we have left to do.
Let's see. We have to give the professor a written summary of the information we've gathered on our topic, wild bird rescue and rehabilitation.
The other written thing we have to turn in is a case study of the rehabilitation of one bird. We have the information on that already.
Right. All we have to do is write it up. What about charts and graphs? Do we need to include something like that?
I don't think so. They aren't really relevant, but we do have to turn in a list of the resources we used.
Naturally. What about videos? I heard some of the other students were doing that.
Well, I guess that must be optional, because I don't see it on the requirements list. Okay, we should start planning our class presentation, since that counts for half the grade.
We've looked at lots of sources of information, but I think our best source was the interviews we did with the wildlife rehabilitators.
Agreed. That and the journal articles. I think we have enough information from those 2 sources for the presentation anyhow. The books we looked at weren't all that helpful.
I wonder if we should try to bring in some live birds for the presentation.
That would be too difficult, don't you think? But we have lots of photos of rehabilitated birds. We can show those.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 16 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 16 to 20.
Right. Okay, I think we should start by talking about how to rescue a bird. Probably first we should help people understand which birds need rescuing.
Yeah, that's really important. because a lot of times people see a baby bird that's all alone, or they find a bird sitting on the ground and they think it needs to be rescued.
And usually, those are just baby birds learning to fly. So we should emphasize that people should only attempt to rescue a bird that's clearly injured.
For certain kinds of birds, the rescuer needs to wear protective gloves because some of those birds have sharp claws and can tear your shirt, or worse, injure your face or some other part of your body.
Yes, that's an important point. Okay, next, let's tell people to put the injured bird in a box with good air circulation. We should let them know that a cage isn't necessary, and a bag, especially a plastic one, could hurt the bird more.
Another thing we need to say is that the best way to help the bird stay calm is not by petting it or talking to it, but by leaving it completely alone. Then people should take the bird to the bird rescue center as soon as possible.
Right, and we should also point out that when they're driving the bird to the rescue center, it's better not to play music on the radio or talk loudly, because those things just stress the bird.
Yes. It's better just to speak quietly while you have the bird in the car. Okay, we've got that part covered. Next, we should talk about what happens at the rescue center.
That is the end of part 2.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 3.
Part 3.
John Helston, a student from London University, wants to know some information about a 21st conference. You'll hear a conversation between John and university staff.
First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 25. Now, listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 25.
University, good morning.
Oh, good morning. Can you put me through to the School of Architecture, please?
Certainly. School of Architecture, Professor Dawson's office.
Oh, good morning. I was wondering if you could give me some information about the forthcoming Architecture 21st Conference, dates, enrollment procedures, costs, that sort of thing.
Certainly.
When exactly is the conference?
Well, the conference runs for 3 days, from the 18th to the 20th of October.
18th to 20th of October? Oh, good. I'll still be here then. And where exactly is it being held? Is it at the university, as in previous years?
No, it's actually being held at the Pacific Hotel. We've rather outgrown the university conference facilities, so we've opted for this new venue.
Right, Paradise Hotel.
No, Pacific Hotel.
Oh, right. And presumably we can get accommodation at the hotel?
Yes, but you'll need to contact them direct to arrange that. I'll give you the number for hotel reservations. Have you got a pen ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's area code 07 and then 933 2233.
Okay, and what's the registration fee?
Individual fees are $300 for the 3 days, or $120 a day if you only wanted to attend for 1 day.
Are there any student concessions?
Oh, sure. There's a 50% concession for students, and that's $150 for the 3 days, or $60 a day.
And am I too late to offer to give a talk?
Oh, I'm pretty sure you've missed the deadline for that.
Oh, really? But I've only just arrived here in Australia. Is there any way I could have a paper accepted?
Well, you'd need to talk to Professor Dawson. He's the person organising the conference this year. I can put you through if you like.
Oh, yes, please. That'd be great. Oh, and can I just check the spelling of his name? Is that Dawson?
Yes, that's correct.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 26 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 26 to 30.
Professor Dawson speaking. Oh, hello. My name is John Helston. I'm an architecture student at London University. I'm here in Australia for 3 months, looking at energy-saving house designs. Right. I'm interested in giving a talk on my research at the conference, but I believe I may have missed the deadline. Well, strictly speaking, you have. The closing date was last Friday. Oh, no! But we may be able to include your paper if it fits into our program, but you'll have to be quick. Okay. What do I need to do? Send me an outline of your talk, and make sure you'd include an interesting title for the talk, something to attract the delegates' attention. Okay, interesting title, right? The outline should be no more than 300 words, though. Right. I should be able to keep it down to 300 words, but would 400 be okay? No, not really, because we have to print it in the proceedings, and we just don't have the space. Sure, I understand. And also, can you send me a short CV, the usual stuff, name, age, and qualifications, that sort of thing? Right, include a brief CV. Actually, you can email it to me. That'd be quicker. Sure. What's your email address? Well, the best thing would be to send it to the conference administrative officer. The address is admin in lowercase, you know, in small letters. Right. So that's admin@uniconf.edu.au. Right. I'll do that straight away. Thank you very much. You've been very helpful. Okay, well, we hope to see you in October then.
That is the end of part 3.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 4.
Part 4.
You're going to hear a conversation.
First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now, listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Afternoon, everyone. Well, I think we can begin straight away by getting Ivy and Andy to do their presentation. Could you start, Ivy?
Yes. Well, we've done a survey on local entertainment. Basically, we tried to find out how students feel about the entertainment in the city and how much they use it.
Yes, so we've called our project Out and About. Yes, that's a good title, Out and About.
We wanted to find out how well students use the entertainment facilities in the city, whether they get to see the latest plays and films, that kind of thing.
Now, we have our own facilities on campus, of course.
Yes, we deliberately omitted those as we really wanted to examine outside entertainment in the city, as opposed to on the university campus.
Actually, there are a lot of areas to choose from, but in the end we limited ourselves to looking at 3 general categories: cinema, theatre and music. Right?
OK, well, first of all, cinema. In the city, there are 3 main places where you can see films. There's the new multi-screen cinema complex, the old Park Cinema, and the late-night Odeon.
So if you look at this chart, in terms of audience size, the multi-screen complex accounts for 75% of all cinema seats. The Park Cinema accounts for 20% of seats, and the late-night Odeon has just 5% of seats.
As you probably know, the complex and the park show all the latest films, while the late-night cinema tends to show cult films. So when we interviewed the students, we thought the complex would be the most popular choice. But surprisingly, it was the late-night Odeon.
Yeah, most students told us that if they wanted to see a new film, they would wait for it to show at the park. The complex is more expensive and further out of the city, so you have to pay more to get there as well. Yes, and that adds to the cost, of course, and detracts the popularity, evidently.
Well, next, we looked at theatres. The results here were interesting because, as you know, there's a theatre on campus, which is popular. But there's also the Stage Theatre in the city, which is very old and architecturally beautiful. And there's the large modern theatre, the Ashtop, which has recently been built.
So you just looked at the 2 theatres in the city? Yes, but the thing about the theatres is that there's a variety of seat prices. Also, the types of performance vary, so students tend to buy seats at both and like using both for different prices, and if they want cheap seats at the Ashtop, they can just sit further from the front.
What we did find that was very interesting is that there are periods during the year where students seem to go to the theatre and periods where they go to the cinema. And we really think that that's something to do with budget. If you look at this graph, you can see that there's a peak around November, December when they go to the theatre more, and then a period in April, May when neither is particularly popular. And then theatre viewing seems to fall off virtually, while the cinema becomes quite popular in June, July.
I think you're probably right about your conclusions. Well, lastly, we looked at music. And this time we were really investigating the sort of small music clubs that offer things like folk or specialise in local bands. So not musicals as much. That's right.
We looked at 3 small music venues, and we examined the quality of the entertainment and venue and gave a ranking for these. A cross, meaning that the quality was poor, a tick, meaning it was okay, and 2 ticks for excellent. First of all, the Blues Club, which obviously specialises in blues music. This was a pretty small place, and the seating was minimal, so we didn't give that a very good rating.
No, we don't recommend that one really.
Then the Sansu, which plays a lot of South American music. It was a big place. Very lively, good performers, so 2 ticks for that one. The Pier Hotel is a folk venue, a good place for local and up-and-coming folk artists to play. Not the best of venues, as it's in a basement and a bit dark, but the quality, if the entertainment, was reasonable, and the lighting was as warm as we felt. It deserved an average rating. Finally, there's the Baldock Cafe, which features big rock bands, and is pretty popular with students, and we enjoyed ourselves there as well, so total marks for that one.
And then, did you get any information from the students as to which of the clubs they preferred?
That is the end of part 4.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.